If we're going to be a democracy, if we're going to be a group of people who work together and create a society based on the golden rule principle of democracy, how democracy is the social equivalent of doing to others as you would have them doing to you. You grant on the political level, I mean you, me, any reasonable person would want to have a role in making decisions that affect our lives. We don't want to just give over our lives to other people. We want to be involved in making decisions that affect our lives. And applying the golden rule, everybody has the right to participate in the decisions that make their lives. You know, if we're going to say that for ourselves, we're all humans. That right goes to everyone else too. That's just a basic right of democracy, that we're going to build a society where everyone who's affected by the decisions is involved in making them. We're going to make group decisions aimed at constructing, a good society, as good a lives as we can create for ourselves. That's the goal of democracy, and that's democracy. So if we're going to have a democracy, we got to think about, how we are, how our society is organized, how our lives are, what would a better society, what would better lives be like, how we are, what might we be like, that's democracy. Let's make a society. So if we're going to figure out where we are now, we got to start by thinking about capitalism. I mean, people, we don't typically see that, capitalism as a social system, as a way of life, is so embedded in our lives and in our selves. This capitalism, it's a social organization that's embedded in our lives, and we have to think about it, because I'm telling you right now, when you think about it, there are some big negatives with capitalism as a social system of organization. We have to have a democratic discussion, bring up good points, but I'm telling you right now, when you look at it, and people know this in their hearts, at the core of capitalism, it's not a pretty thing. It's not based on the golden rule. It's based on a hyper-individualism that is detrimental to creating a good society. That, we're going to have a democracy, we're going to understand capitalism. And I'm telling you, when we understand capitalism, it's going to be obvious that we want to go some different way. Here's like a super early caveat, just to cut off a lot of dim-witted retorts. When I say, the right wing, the people with the power that capitalism brings, when I say capitalism is no good, their response is, oh, well, socialism, communism, is that what you want that failed? Yeah, I mean, their power depends on two things. One is naturalizing capitalism. Like, that's just how God made us. That's just what humans do. I'll deal with that, but that's not true. Capitalism is not natural. It's a social practice that we engage in. So they try to naturalize capitalism on the one hand, and then on the other hand, they try to act like there's no good alternatives. There's socialism and communism, and they failed, so this is the best we're going to have. Is their other response. And my response to that, as someone who has studied anthropology, all these different ways humans have been, there's not some poll, we're either capitalist or we're communist, and that failed. There's all kinds of possibilities, and there's ones that no one's thought of yet. I mean, that's what democracy is. We work together, we find ways to do things, we find ways to organize ourselves, and it doesn't have to be capitalist, and we could do so much better for ourselves and for our society, for the earth, for everything. We could do better than capitalism is doing right now. So that has to be a democratic discussion. We have to figure out what capitalism is, and, is that what we want to do, or should we start thinking about other things? And there are some people thinking about other things. That, if we're going to have a democracy, we got to think about capitalism. And be ready, when you think about it, that it's not something that a democratic majority, it's not something that 2/3 of the people are going to want to do. And so then, it's going to become a struggle. The people who want democracy, and the people who want capitalism. And, I'm afraid that might be in America's future. But, we're going to get it. We're going to see what happens. We're going to have a democracy. We're going to, die on our feet rather than live on our knees. course, we're going to have a democracy.